Today is day 5, Thursday, June 26th of Tesla's Robotaxi service in Austin. It's still a limited group of testers, but there's a lot of new information that has surfaced. I'm going to save you a bunch of time by talking about all of the latest and greatest, also covering some content that happened a couple days prior that I just didn't cover in my last video. So first and foremost, today, for the first time, Tesla started sending out additional invites to more people. Now, it's still a closed group of people, but Sawyer Merritt mentioned that Gregor Truck got an invite, Diana got an invite, Nick Cruz got an invite, John, Tesla owner of Silicon Valley, got an invite, Devin Olson got an invite. This is all really great, and it means that we're going to see a lot more content moving forward. And one of the coolest things is that Tesla is not restricting anyone from filming in the back seat. That means Tesla is confident that the service is operating well enough that there aren't going to be any major safety issues. Now, we already know that Tesla has an employee in the front passenger seat that is ready with their thumb on what everybody is calling a kill switch. Now, if you know what a Tesla is like and you've ridden in a Tesla before, you know that that little switch is the door opening button. Now, if you're in the middle of a ride and you're driving in a car, let's say someone is driving a Tesla and you're sitting in the passenger seat and you push that button, it's just not going to do anything. I believe with the Robotaxi that that button will either send a message to the support team or it will stop the car, it will slow the car down. It has some sort of different operation compared to a normal Tesla. In my last video, I showed an example where a Robotaxi got stuck behind a FedEx truck. The FedEx truck went in reverse and then the operator had to press something on the screen. A new image surfaced that shows exactly what options are available on the screen. And you can see that we have 3 different things: pull over, stop in lane, and support. So from the front seat, you can dial support just like you can in the back seat if you need to reach Tesla's, what I'm going to call, control center. One thing that I noticed the other day as Dirty Tesla was heading back to Michigan, he posted some differences with the Robotaxi versus a normal Juniper Model Y. Now, it's important to realize that these Model Ys that are running the Robotaxi software, which is different from the main software in all of the other Teslas, they're still normal Model Y Junipers. That means it has the front bumper camera, it has everything that the normal Model Ys have, except for 2 notable differences. Well, 3 if you count the back screen. Front screen is also different. But when it comes to hardware, there seems to be a black box in the rear of the car up by the glass. Now, it's rumored that that could be Starlink that's providing internet connectivity to the vehicle. It's also rumored that that could be a speaker for the control center to communicate with the people inside of the vehicle. There is also a metal bar on the bottom of the car. Nobody knows what this is. I speculate that this might have to do with some sort of wireless charging infrastructure that they're trying to develop, because ultimately, at the end of the day, there's going to be a whole bunch of these driving all around without anybody in the car, and they're going to have to be able to stop and charge themselves. Now, when it comes to Robotaxi videos, there's a whole lot of new footage that has surfaced recently and some old footage. I'm going to cover a whole bunch of content here, so get ready. First of all, the good stuff. So Dirty Tesla posted a really great case where it maneuvered through a lot of fire trucks. There was just chaos in the streets, and it did so great. Dirty Tesla had 50 rides in the Robotaxis across 2 or 3 days, and he had a great experience overall. He was very factual and he didn't hide any information. And that's one thing I love about Dirty Tesla. Chris is very transparent with all of his content. One clip in particular that stood out to me was when a FedEx driver made a wide turn. The Robotaxi recognized that and kind of indicated that it was trying to move out of the way. It is very intelligent in recognizing the path of other vehicles around it. With that said, there was another clip with a Waymo car and the Tesla Robotaxi went around it and it was kind of blocking a lane, but the Robotaxi did great kind of going around that situation. And then we have Omar, or Whole Mars Blog. He's down in Austin and he's doing a lot of tests. He found a really great way to mount his camera so it doesn't vibrate, but he actually uses the smooth camera algorithm in post-editing to stabilize all of the footage. But his sunset video was really spectacular, and it's a testament to how well the Robotaxi is operating. Most of the people that were down in Austin were saying very positive things and had great experiences. For example, Zach, or Black Model 3, he had 40 rides down in Austin and he had a great experience with very little issues. He posted very positively about it. Now, Omar does get a lot of heat for always posting positive content, but he does from time to time post some issues. But generally speaking, almost everyone that Tesla is inviting is going to say good things, and there's a reason for that. I'm going to get to that in a minute. Sawyer ran a poll on X, and I thought this was fascinating. He said, based on the videos and photos you've seen online of both the Tesla Robotaxi and Waymo experiences, which service would you rather ride in right now? And he had 48,731 people vote. Vast majority, 61% of the people that follow Sawyer. Granted, he does post a lot about Tesla content. They are saying that Tesla Robotaxi is the one that they would ride in right now. And with that, I'm just gonna replay the clip where the Robotaxi goes around Waymo and the comment that this gentleman said inside of the car while Chris was riding in it.
Look at the Waymo.
Oh my gosh, it's confused. It's blocking the lane. Wow.
It does that.
It does that a lot? Oh my gosh, it was blocking our lane, and the Tesla Robotaxi just handled it perfectly.
And I'm also going to draw attention to a recent crash that took place in Phoenix with a Waymo car.
Driverless crash on the streets of Phoenix. Earlier today, a Waymo was going to pick up some riders when it hit a pole.
This isn't how Jerica Mitchell thought her Waymo experience would go.
This was going to be our first time riding one.
She and her friend are visiting the Valley from Arkansas and had always wanted to ride in one.
Because we've always seen them, like on Instagram.
So they ordered it. And while waiting for its arrival near 7th Avenue and Roosevelt in Phoenix, this happened.
Yeah, we were real shocked.
The driverless car was going down this alley and crashed into a pole that was off to the side, crushing the front end of the car.
We heard the smack at first, but we didn't realize that it was the car.
Thankfully, no one was hurt, but it was still a shock, not only to Mitchell, but experts who specialize in these sophisticated cars.
What did surprise me is just how much the car has crumpled up. This is a serious collision between a pole and a car.
The past 2 weeks, we've seen other incidents on social media, like this Waymo driving into oncoming traffic in Tempe on Rural Road near the US 60, and this one swerving in and out of its lane at 15th Avenue south of Thomas. Called Waymo support, who gave her a full refund and called her another Waymo. It also took the same alleyway and got stuck behind the crash.
Now that I'm thinking about it, I don't know.
Now, you can't bash Waymo entirely. Waymo's been doing this for a lot longer, and there's no doubt in my mind, personally, that Waymo is ahead right now. The really dangerous thing for Waymo, at least, is that Tesla has this software potentially in all of their cars. It's just a flip of a switch with a software update that enables all these cars to drive around. It's still unknown whether a hardware update is going to be required, but I think it's safe to say that you don't need LiDAR and radar and all of that extra hardware to do certain things. It's also funny because human drivers aren't that great either, but of course you're never going to see any articles about a human driver doing something stupid, and you're always going to see when a Tesla gets in a crash, but you're never going to see a situation where a human creates or causes a crash, and that's happening all the time, every single day. This clip here that Josh West shared is really funny to me. So what's the real story with Robotaxi? Is it good? Is it not good? I'm seeing a whole bunch of articles online saying that it's actually quite bad. So I really don't know what to believe. Well, you have to witness it yourself, and I think that time will come in the future. But for now, we just have to listen to what everybody's saying. Zach, or Black Model 3, for example, he said 40 Tesla Robotaxi rides, 0 interventions. Don't listen to the media. They haven't experienced it for a reason. Had such a great time in Austin this week, never once felt uncomfortable or nervous, really smooth rides. And then you have Dirty Tesla, who took 50 rides, and someone asked him in one of his comments at the end of his testing, What were your overall impressions? And he said this. He said, it's great, but I saw enough mistakes, 2 of them, that it's not really ready to roll out. I do think more people could use it though, since the safety passenger exists. So there are a couple things here and there, and it's gonna be a matter of time, I believe. Now, if you were to Google Tesla Robotaxi news, you would get a whole bunch of negative headlines. I'm not even joking. Try it out yourself. Some of them that came up, Tesla's Robotaxi keeps screwing up. There's now a list of incidents. Another one, Tesla's Robotaxi peppered with driving mistakes in Texas tests. Tesla Robotaxi safety monitor forced to clamber into driver's seat and take over, passenger says. Downright unsafe, Austin man takes a Tesla Robotaxi ride. Here's what to know before hailing one yourself. So at the end of the day, while there are a lot of negative reviews, one that really stood out to me, and I don't mean to draw attention to this, was one that Dirty Tesla encountered. You can see here the Tesla is trying to get out of a very tight spot, and as it moves forward, it almost hits this other car. So the Tesla employee had to press what I'm assuming the kill switch to stop it from hitting the car. And then Dirty Tesla followed up in the comments saying that the Tesla employee had to move over into the driver's seat to take over and drive the car out of there. That's the first really safety critical situation, but it wasn't like it was risking someone's life. It was just risking someone's property. Of course, you have people like Dan O'Dowd that's constantly trying to smear Tesla, saying that it should be banned immediately. He's always posting things about how it's the worst software ever. And you really have to take things with a grain of salt whenever you see his posts, because he's very, very biased in the other direction, and he has an ulterior motive. He sells his own competing software. He does not want Tesla to succeed. He wants his own solution to succeed somehow, which doesn't make any sense to me. But why someone would be so motivated to stop technology that's being designed to save lives, it's really beyond me. But with all of that said, what does Wall Street think of this Robotaxi? Are they loving it? Are they hating it? Well, if you look at Tesla's stock over the past 4 days, it went up on the first day on Monday, but then it went down, it went a little bit up, went down, so it's kind of level. There's really no conclusion that you can draw there. Like I said, I think it's just a matter of time. Now, if you ask any other Tesla driver that has FSD in their car, they're gonna say really great things about it. And that's why this is generating so much attention in the media. Unfortunately, it's all negative, but until people really witness it firsthand, they don't really truly believe how miraculous it is. Brian White, Futuraza, he was on his way from Washington to Michigan for the Michigan Tesla Summer Meetup, and he stopped by my place to do some filming for a live stream, and his comments were that, well, first of all, he has a brand new Tesla Model 3, it's the Highland, and he said he loves it. But he got FSD, and he said he doesn't have any driver fatigue, he feels very rested, very relaxed, and he was ready to go and had just a bunch of energy. And that's a common trend. If you have FSD, you don't need to focus on every minor little detail. Omar had the car in Brooklyn. This is fresh off the press, just came out recently, where he was driving for 22 minutes in Brooklyn traffic. He didn't have any interventions. The car drove itself perfectly. It's outside of California, so it's a little bit of a different twist. He's always posting these perfect drives in California, and a lot of people can't really relate. However, being in New York, this is a little bit different. So I am very happy to hear this. Zach, Black Model 3, he said the same thing that Brian said in a post. He said, just drove over 1,000 miles in one day from San Antonio, Texas to Buckeye, Arizona. And thanks to FSD, I'm not even that tired. It drove me every single mile until parking lots, so 99% plus of my driving today was on FSD, game-changing for road trips. Can never road trip without it again. And that is a general theme that I'm hearing. A lot of people that have Teslas with FSD, they feel like they're living in the future. They feel like they have an inside secret that most people don't know about. It's funny because I was at a party talking about how FSD drives me everywhere, how I don't have to do anything. And the gentleman I was speaking with, it was in one ear, out the other. He said, yeah, my brand new Chevy does almost the same types of things. It has this really cool automatic cruise control. And now suddenly his story is going in one ear, out one ear for me. So how do we get these people that don't have FSD to really truly understand and appreciate it? Well, I think Tesla's already doing the right thing. They're offering 48-hour demo drives, they're offering free trials of FSD, but still, in my opinion, it's not enough. It's not until Tesla takes full liability and makes it very easy to get FSD for the general person. And that means the cost of the cars needs to come down in addition to having access to FSD. And when I say the cost needs to come down, I'm talking about the cars themselves. Teslas, unfortunately, still are out of reach for the vast majority of people. But overall, I'm very optimistic for the future of Tesla, and I can't wait, like I said in my previous video, for my own car, which is a 2019 Model 3, to have the ability to drive itself anywhere, everywhere, where I can add it onto this Robotaxi network and make money while I'm sleeping. I truly believe that that's possible, and many people are saying, no, it's not. It's older hardware. They're throwing up all of these barriers and saying that it's going to be too difficult. But you have to remember, Elon is very passionate. If it was anyone else that was running Tesla as a company, I would not be as confident as I am in Tesla's future in solving full self-driving unsupervised. Elon has landed rockets in the middle of the ocean. He's put microchips in people's brains. He's unlocked huge progress and achievements with AI. Elon is passionate that this will happen. It's just a matter of timing. So in my opinion, we also need to be confident as well as patient for a very bright and optimistic future. Hope you guys agree. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Hit that like button and subscribe. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.